or unhelpful thoughts drive how we respond, we listen, we accept, we think, and then we decide how we can connect to the other person instead of reacting to the thing that has been said. And this is the mindful communication concept, sort of at a bird's eye view.
And I just love that explanation there, the way you've made it so clear absolutely what, being mindful is. And with all of that, when we're being mindful, Dave, we're more in alignment with ourselves, aren't we? So those, actually who we are. And the more we understand who we are, the more in alignment we are, the happier we're going to be. The happier we're going to be, the better we're going to be able to communicate and not come from our, if you like, negative space. So I think that's a beautiful explanation. Thank you.
Well, what you say is extremely true, Louise, because if you're in good alignment, you can't align with another person if you're not in alignment with yourself. You can't truly align. You can connect, you can talk, you can have communication, but if you really want to relate at a deeper level, if you want this relationship to count, if you want this to be a real connection between two authentic human beings, you have to be aligned with yourself first. Otherwise, you can't really know what you're going to represent to the other person. Who are you? Who do you want them to understand that you are? If you don't know, how will you tell them? And this is why mindfulness is so important as the basis, especially for intimate communication, especially in a marriage. It's also extremely helpful, parent to child, child to parent, among siblings, because these relationships are so deep and strong and vital to our existence. So you, in order to really do them well, you have to do yourself well.
Yeah, and that's where it comes down. It's such a huge part of the self-love and knowing yourself, and knowing, as you say, these deep relationships. And so many of us today, we have sort of conversations on the surface because we don't want to dig too deep because either it's painful or we feel vulnerable, or so we never create. So many of us today never get below that surface level, but it's all still going on in there. And it only kind of erupts when there's a big argument or something goes wrong. But it's in England we call it brushing it under the carpet. It's keep the stick upper lip, and we don't mention of that. We just brush that stuff under the carpet, which is ridiculous, really, because what happens is that all grows, doesn't it? And as you say, like the anger, which we all need. Anger's a primal emotion, and we need to be angry at times. But it's expressing that in a healthy way, where we're not, destroying part of ourselves and the other person. So yeah, it's so important, Dave. So important. It's and that relates so well to that, because I do a huge amount on self-love, and I think you do in your work as well, in a similar way to me. But it's all part and parcel, isn't it?
Oh, it's just so necessary, because without that, if we have self-love, then when we're dealing with other people, one of the great drivers of crisis in a relationship is the fear that love will be lost. That if we dig too deep, as you say, or we don't smooth things over, if we have conflict, that the relationship somehow is fragile and will break, and then the horrible consequence is that we will lose love. If we love ourselves, we know that love can't be lost that way.
Totally.
It doesn't go like that. Yes.
And so we're able to. Sorry.
We have to have the confidence that love will be there, love will abide, love will be present, even if the topic that we have to bring up with our partner is a challenging one.
And that's how you deepen relationships, isn't it? Being able to share your vulnerability towards that person and know that it's okay. And I actually believe that it gives the other person a permission to, if you like, to share their vulnerability. And so that's how we strengthen. Would you say?
Oh, absolutely. Without the capacity to allow yourself to be vulnerable, you don't have a deep relationship or an authentic relationship with the other person because you're not taking risks. You're staying solely within your comfort zone. There's no revealing of yourself,
Yeah.
of your true self.
And that can be
The
really
other thing,
scary, can't it? I mean, that
oh,
can be scary stuff because you are actually getting out of your comfort zone and sharing with somebody a part of you that, they might not react to very well.
well, that's just it. You can't do this without deep trust.
Yeah.
You
Trust.
can't. It can't be done unless it. And that's why the falling in love experience is such a beautiful deception. We fall in love, and the other person is wonderful, and we feel wonderful with and about the other person. We feel wonderful about ourselves, and all of our problems vanish. But we haven't actually built trust yet. And our ability to be vulnerable with that person hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are so many things that, oh, this is so wonderful. I can't reveal the parts of myself that I am afraid of, or that I am disappointed in, or that I feel uncomfortable with, because I don't want the other person to know that about me yet. I want to enjoy this beautiful period.
For the big fear of the losing it. I mean, that's what we're terrified of losing,
yes.
isn't it? So we better not shake it up or rock the boat, because otherwise this beautiful honeymoon period might just end and they might not like me so much now if they knew this about me.
And yet, and here's the sad part, and yet that's why that period is not real love. It doesn't become real. I can't help but think of the Velveteen Rabbit here. It can't become real until the spots have worn off. It can't become real until you have arrived at a point where you are not afraid to show your loving partner the things in yourself that you have trouble living with. To say, here I am in all my imperfection, but I know and I trust that you can handle this.
That you will still love me. Yeah, we will still.
That you will still love me. And that I, in turn, I the same. I commit to loving you in spite of, or maybe even because of, your relationship with your own imperfections. Nobody is perfect. And that falling in love period gives the illusion of perfection. And of course it's wonderful to feel perfect during that time. The falling in love experience is one of the pinnacle human experiences. But if you are going to really relate to a person and find out what really loving someone else and being loved in return means, the love that conquers all, what that is a love so strong and so trustworthy that you can each accept each other and yourselves as part of a loving relationship.
Yeah, all of our flaws, all of our vulnerabilities, because this is the basis from what I see. is where couples break up, because they live in fear of, in fear of themselves, in fear of exposing anything, even to face themselves, let alone the partner. If we can't face it ourselves, we've got no hope of sharing with our partner. So it's, I think it's absolutely critical in any, in any meaningful relationship that we have in life.
And yes, and this is, why do I speak of mindful communication? If we're really going to communicate so as to form this kind of connection, we need that same mental attitude of acceptance and non-judgment to make it work. We also need, even as a preliminary, the present moment attitude that this communication with my partner, and of course, one would hope this would be at least daily. This at least daily, and so often this fails to occur, not because it's anybody's fault, because life gets in the way. But one would hope that there would be a reserved sacred space or time in every home daily for the members of that family, individually or preferably individually, but perhaps also as a group, to give each other their full present moment attention, the heightened awareness of the other person in this present moment, where in this present moment, you and whatever it is that you have to say to me, whatever you're able to say to me, is the only thing that exists for me right now. Yes, I've done other things earlier today. I have other things to do later today. But in this present moment, you are all that matters. Just giving our partners, our children, our parents, that kind of respectful, undivided awareness can make a big difference.
I totally agree there, Dave, 100%. I know for myself what I do. My husband, when he gets in from work, he just likes 10 minutes of my time. It's not long, it's 10, 15 minutes max. And he just wants my undivided attention. No phone, no putting on the kettle, no nothing. And he just wants to tell me about his day and, flying and whatever's happened in his day. And I just listen intently. And I've been doing that for about 30 years now. But I haven't really noticed that, but I do. And then that's it. Then I can carry on with my day. But it's what he needs to offload and just, I don't understand most of it, but he just wants to offload and tell me about his stuff. And then it kind of sets our connection, if you like, up for the day or the evening.
Your willingness to receive that, it's, in a way, it's his offering. It doesn't necessarily operate as a gift to you, but this is what he has conquered today, and it is his offering. Your wonderful willingness to receive that does more for him than perhaps he even realizes.
Yeah, maybe. It is. And my kids have been a bit the same when they get in from school. When they used to live at home, they just wanted me straight away, and then that was it. Then they're done. They're off. they just
the question, Louise. Yeah. Speaking from my mindful communication point of view, the question is, who does that for you?
Yeah, who does that for me? Very, very good point. What happens for me is dinner. He's very specific that we always eat together whenever we can. And so that is my time to wind for my day. So I really, I think meal times, personally, I think are critical. And I think it's very hard in this day and age kind of meal times have fallen apart a little bit because there's so many people eating at different times, fast food, different things. But for me, I think there's nothing better than sitting around the table, or just Ian and I sitting together and have a meal where we really connect over some nice food together. So that's my time for me. You're right.